Take it away from me, Mr. C.
Thank you, Dennis, and folks in cyberspace. Again, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. On today's show, which is Debate Friday, we have a very, very important topic for you. Is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? That is our topic for today's Debate Friday, and we want to say welcome to the very interesting topic. And to discuss the topic, we brought you three outstanding gentlemen who have all the ideas, in my opinion, to tell us whether or not it's working. But guess what? They are now on the same page. So this will be thrilling. We have in the house Mr. Gaston Mower as a panelist for this conversation. And we also have with us Mr. Weton Kera. Kera is here also to partake in a very, very interesting conversation. Also in the house is the man Steve Bole, who is known on Facebook as Mose Mose or AKA Mose Mose. These are our panelists for this very important topic. We will now welcome our guests, starting with Mose Mose. Mose Mose or Mr. Steve Bole, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sie. Thank you for having me on here tonight. And thanks to Mr. Ja for having me on as well. And thanks to the Liberian people for tuning in as usual. Every time, every chance, every opportunity I have to speak to the Liberian people, whether it's in public or in private, I normally like to remind them that Liberian people are the most important people on earth. And I'd also like to remind the Liberian women that they're the most beautiful women on earth. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you. And also, another panelist seated comfortably, ready to go into this conversation is the man, Mr. Weton Kera. Mr. Kera, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. C and Mr. Ja, for having me. I hope this discussion will yield fruit in our political cycle. I'm talking about Liberia and America, that the panel will share and bring up good ideas and put up good points for our listening audience. Thank you, and I wish all of us the best.
Thank you. And our last panelist is the man, Gakon Moat. Mr. Moat, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Sear. Thank you, Mr. Ja. Thank you to the organizer and the producer of Focus on Liberia. Thank you all for allowing us this opportunity to discuss issue as it relates to our country. And I look forward to the debate, and I hope we all on here tonight will be able to shed some light on how we can move our country forward in respect to the topic at hand.
Thank you. And so, folks in cyberspace, you just listening to our guests. They are all set. We are about to go into the conversation. We will ask you to hit that share button so that you can be the only one to benefit for the knowledge the panelists have to share with all of us. Gentlemen, as you are aware, our topic is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? Dennis, should we start with self-introduction or we good?
Yes, I think they can introduce themselves, but in a special way, I want to welcome Mr. Steve Bole, Moses on his debut on Focus on Liberia. This is our first time having you. Keller, I've been here, and also Gaken. Mr. Bole, welcome for the first time to Focus on Liberia. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
And debate in Liberia, most of it is not nice, and we try to make that impression right here. And when we went to school, wherever, we know that sometimes debate is academic. You don't even have to believe it to debate it. And so we urge our viewers to be very civil in responding to our people. When someone holds an opinion that differs from yours, please treat them with respect. Sometimes it happens in our political discourse that because somebody is different or holds a different opinion, you sometimes use some words that are not supposed to be used on this platform. Tonight, what we're going to do is for the topic, we're going to have each of our panelists answering the questions and giving us details as to why they believe what they believe on that particular subject. We're going to have 1 or 2 questions to them. We'll give time for cross-examination, that is one panelist asking the other. And then we're going to involve our viewers to post their question or comments on Facebook and also call the line. We're going to open that very soon so that all of us can take part. It's Friday night debate. And I'm so excited. Mr. C.A.
Dennis, thank you so very much. And at this hour, we will go into our debate, starting with Mr. Gaikon. Mr. Gaikon Mower, sorry. You heard the topic. Is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? But first, we want to know from you, is it working?
I thought you said you were going to introduce himself briefly.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Garcon D. Morway from District, River Escante, Morway, Liberia. I was raised in Cinco, now reside in Chicago, Illinois. And I am glad to be, as I first introduced, to be on this platform today. I have worked, just in respect to the topic at hand, I have had the opportunity to have worked for many campaigns. I have worked with the state board election here in Chicago, Illinois. I have worked as a polling place, like administrator. I have worked with the board of election as an election judge. I have worked on many campaigns to be able to give my knowledge and experience on this issue that we are discussing today. So once again, that's a brief introduction in terms of education. I'm educated, and I don't want to put, what degrees and things like that, but my expertise on the topic at hand tonight, I'm prepared to give some of my experience. I have experience and learned here in the U.S. to see how we can apply that in Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will bring in Mr. Wayton Carter for a little brief self-introduction. Mr. Carter.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brother Say, as you rightly pronounce my name. Wilton S. Ketter Sr. is my name, married with 3 beautiful children. I'm the leader of our association in Connecticut here. I served vice president for 4 years, then became president, and I also is an member of the Concerned Liberians in America that went to DC to protests in the wake of incitement of violence in Liberia. And that was a success that we had. I have been on this show, I think 1 or 2 times, making contribution. I have my own talk show called The Shawaka Show, where we beat back falsehood, manipulation, and deception. And I just hope that this discussion will yield fruits, not for us here, but for our people back home. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will go to Mr. Steve Bole, aka Mose, for a little brief introduction.
Thank you there again. My name is Steve Bole. I was born in Liberia. Fortunately, I grew up in different parts of the world, in different countries. That includes the Ivory Coast and Guinea and other places. However, migrated to the US, got involved with politics about a year or 2 ago. But behind the scene, I have been studying Liberian politics very quietly. I also currently, professionally, I work as a clinician. I am a candidate right now for a doctoral program, psychology. And I look forward to this discussion as we will educate our people and as we will also learn from our people here tonight based on our interaction. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. And so folks in cyberspace, you heard our panelists. They are all set. We will now go into our conversation. And this time, we will start with Mr. Ketter. Our topic again is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? We will now go to Mr. Carter for his position.
Well, thank you again. I think multi-party democracy in Liberia is working. To appreciate our multi-party system is to understand Liberia and in the 1800 and the 1900. Talking about we had a one-party system for 102 years. That is the two-way party, and we saw the two-way party was like the one source all type of party, and nobody had to check and balance nobody. And so up to now we see the level of development, the level of involvement, with the entire country when it comes to development and education and all the whole nine. Yeah. So we embrace multi-party because it was true the proliferation of political parties that we start to see a lot of ills in government, because opposition was bringing government, putting government foot to fire, so to speak. And we saw a lot of ills in our society. And I mean, even though it is not a perfect situation, but I think we're getting there.
All right. We will now go to Mr. Moel for his initial position.
Well, again, thank you. And thank you to our fellow Liberians who are listening. The issue of multi-party system, I believe it is needed in Liberia. It gives others visionary the chance to express their ideology in Liberia. I think when we ask the question whether it is working, I think that should not be the question, but we'll get into that later on. But I think, yes, it is working. I mean, looking at from the formation of Liberia to where it's at now, from being ruled by one party for almost a century to now being able for other Liberians, the natives or non-natives, to be involved, to have a collective effort, the likes of the Coalition for Democratic Change, the Council of Patriots, the collaboration of political party. I think it is much needed in order to make our society better.
Thank you. Initial position right there by Gakon. We will go to Mr. Steve Bole for his initial position. Where do you stand on this topic?
Thank you again. Well, first of all, we have to understand democracy first, because it incorporates the multi-party system. We have to understand that it is acceptable, it is okay. However, I think and I believe that it hasn't worked up until now because of various reasons. And so I still think it is essential. I still think it is necessary. It is needed to strengthen our democracy, but I feel and I believe it has not worked yet. That's where I stand.
So you don't believe that the multi-party democracy system that we have in Liberia is not working?
No, it's not working.
What made you to say that?
Well, it is not working because, first of all, we have to take into consideration that it has been not more than maybe I would say 30 to 40 years since this entire multi-party democracy has been introduced to us as a people and as a nation. Now, you will have to take into consideration also that we were used to one party system. And as we evolved as people, it was a good idea and a good initiative to bring this forth to us as part of democracy. However, I think it hasn't been working because there is a lack of education on how it should work. Some people have misused it, and it has really not worked to the advantage of the people of the nation. And most people don't have understanding of what it is and how it should be done. And most importantly, what I would say is that there has not been a system put in place in order to sustain this process, because this is a process that needs a system that will sustain it. It's one thing for us to just talk about it all day and say, yeah, it's good, it's good. but where's the system to sustain and maintain it? Where are the regulations? And you know, what are method and strategy put in place to be able to not only enhance it, but make it more sustainable, make it more beneficial to our people, educate our people more on it. That's why I think it has not been working, because of the lack of all these different factors.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the voice of Mr. Steve Bowler, aka Moses Moses. We want to welcome all of you to our debate night. The question tonight is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? Moses said no, it's not. And let's hear from Mr. Garkan Moe. Why you think it's working for Liberia?
Well, well, like I said before, I think it is needed. I think we cannot restrict people who wants to be involved in politics or who wants to, run for certain offices. And, like currently the system in Liberia, like I always tell a lot of my friends, Liberia is not a normal country. When you try to run for offices, some party, the party chairman, whoever, they take a bunch of money from you, and you may not become the candidate of their choice of that party. So in order to make, the reason why I say it's working, because people are not allowed to form their own parties and be able to go independent and be able to do multiple things. Now, like Moses rightfully stated, and before I get into this topic is something great for us, because we will be discussing this topic on come in March 2020 at the All Liberian Diaspora Conference in Maryland. And this is something that is seriously needed in Liberia. We need to focus on the electoral reform. We need to talk about the party system. I think of many Liberian white, it's true that they would like to dissolve this aspect of multi-party system. I think with electoral reform, we can try to regulate, the body that regulates elections will focus more on the process on how you can even be formed into a party, or how you can be declared as a political party in a country. So now that goes to the National Election Commission in Liberia. They have to put regulation in place. For one, they could, just like how it is done here in the US, before the Green Party was established as a political party, they were required to meet certain benchmark in order to be recognized as a political party. So in order for you to run as a candidate, you need to have certain amount of petition. Petition need to be notarized, it need to be filed to the board election, and people who are registered to vote in that country need to sign that petition. So I think, like Moses rightfully stated, the system in Liberia is what we need to focus on, and not the multi-party system, because I think everybody, as the Constitution put it, you have the right to run for any offices at any time. I don't think, and do not believe that we should violate people's rights and tell them that, oh, no, let's only form 2-party, let only form 3-party. Everybody need to be given a chance to run. However, you have to meet that benchmark.
Thank you. And let's come to you, Waiton. You said it's working.
Yes.
And somebody may think, how is it working when we have all these parties and all we see is that they are more like in bags? We don't see them. They just in bags. You hear about all the parties only election time. And after election, they're gone.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
I mean, at the end of the day, election. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brother Sid. Like I said, to understand and appreciate a multi-party democracy in Liberia, or multi-party system in Liberia, is to also understand the past of the Two-way party. Let us look at the Firestone deal of 1926, I think 1925, 1926. If we had a multi-party system, you think like we were going to go into that deal for 100 years or 99 years, and the way the concession was written up, you think like we were going to go into that deal? No, we were going to have opposition opposing such a deal that strangulated Liberian people, basically enslaved the native, made them to do forced labor and all the other stuff. So and another thing again, if we had multi-party democracy in Liberia back from the 1800 all the way to the 80s, we would have seen a level of development in Liberia that we have not seen in since that time. The reason is simple. If you look around Liberia, the politics was based in Montserrat County, and not even all over Montserrat County. It was based in a portion of Montserrat County, that is Monrovia, the Monrovia area, there where our national politics was based all along. They were never targeting the hinterland, where they were open, schools and carry different, development on that end. It was all focused on Monrovia because that's where the two-party base is, and people were not coming from that area care for voting, and it was just so say one, so say all.
Yes. Mr. Ketter, what tells you as of today that multi-party democracy is working?
What tells me is to see how people are bringing new ideas to the table, how people are saying, no. We cannot sit here and allow our country to be underdeveloped. Take, for example, the CDC-led government. For over, I think, from 1847, whatever it is, every time you hear people say, look at the southeastern region. I mean, no roads at all. This is a country that was established since 1847. The southeastern region got no roads, no connectivity, and all that kind of stuff. So CDC party has to come out to say, no. We have to connect our country. If there were no CDC, if we still had the one-party system, I don't know if we'll be talking about road development in the hinterland. Yes.
Let me bring you to a point. Earlier, you said that if we have multi-party system from the get-go, the Firestone deal would not have passed. Yes. I don't think there's a guarantee, and here's why. Today, we have multi-party system. Using our current government as an example, everything the president proposes passes, despite the multi-party democracy we have today. So somebody will say, it's not a guarantee that when you have multi-party democracy, certain things will not happen. What do you say to that?
I think that statement you made is far from the truth, because we have a legislator, the House of Elders, that have different political parties in there. People make decisions based on their political ideology, and you may think that the president have all the power to just pass any bill. No, that's not the case. It's far from the reality. So I think most of the deal, that's why you see when people make concessions in Liberia, they have to go and revisit those concessions. They have to be passed through the different processes before it comes to fruition. Even though, like I said, it's not as perfect, but I think it's something that we should embrace, and it's better. We can build on it. We can, like the brother Bole, if I'm calling his name right, said, we have to be able to structure, our multi-party system in such a way that people will be accountable for things to do. Take, for example, if we have one national agenda for our country, all the different political parties that will want to come on board to lead our country, or the person that will become leader, will have to work in that framework of our national agenda. But we don't have that yet, and we can build that. But I think we took a giant step to introduce multi-party democracy, so that the other people can have views, bring their views to the table that makes sense. Over the years, we've seen it. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Let me bring Moses in. Moses, you said that it's not working. Earlier, we all listening to Wetton said, we have House of Elders talking about the senators. And I want to bring this point in again. It's not a guarantee that because you have too many parties, things will work for you. He used another example about the Southeast not having a role because we have a one-party system. President Tubman, who ruled Liberia for 27 years, was from the Southeast, Maryland County. So it's not a guarantee in any way that when you have a one-party system, things will not work, and when you have a multi-party system, things will work for you. It's not a guarantee. What do you say to that?
Well, I think we have evolved as a people. We have evolved as a nation, and I also think because of the fact that democracy provides us with the opportunity to be able to, express our desire, contribute to our national discourses, and participate in our elections, and not just restrict people. So you will go back to understand that 40 years ago, you understand that we had just one party system running. Now, I want to be clear on this. It is okay for us to have multi-party democracy. However, I said it is not working because people were not educated to it. Our people, there are not systems in place also to sustain this. Let's take, for example, for what the brother said earlier on, for what you also alluded to. It is mind-boggling to see that we have somebody that ruled our country for about 27 years. Now, what runs to your mind is, were there no other parties around? Were there no other people around to be able to run or to contest with this person? So the truth about it is, we're just using the name, multi-party system, multi-party democracy in Liberia, but it really has not been working. I bring you up to speed to the present election, 2017. It has been actually to the disadvantage of Liberians because you know what? You have a place now wherein you have, just before the election, 2017, you will see that there were 4 more parties added onto the listing. The Election Commission certified 4 more different parties, which made the parties in Liberia, as we speak now, the political parties in Liberia, there are 26 of them. Now, what that tells you what have they been doing for the country. That tells you either they don't know what they're doing, or people are just in it for their own reasons or to benefit themselves. Again, multi-party democracy is not a bad thing, but it is not working. It has not been working for us for the past 40 years because we have not been educated as a people, and there has been no system to be able to ensure that, these different parties are held accountable, they are contributing to the national discourse, and they are meeting the needs of our people and the demands of their citizens and their partisans who believe in them. And they're in existence 24/7, not when elections are coming around. You get them coming around a couple of months to elections. What does that benefit us? How good are they? What are they doing now in the society with everything that's going on in Liberia right now? So this is why I say it's not working.
All right. I have 2 questions, one for you, Steve, and one for Gaken. So you, Steve, are you waiting for this perfect system, kind of utopia, before you tell us that multi-party is working? Because everywhere, even here, everything is a work in progress. Then for Gaken, my question is, you already admitted that there are problems. And those problems, as you correctly stated, prevent us from having a system that we all want. So with the problem you stated, proliferation of parties because there's no benchmark as to who becomes a party in all the 9 years, how then can you say that it's working? Bole, you go first.
So to your question, you see, we don't have to wait for a perfect system to be in place. However, we have to ensure that there is a system in place. And eventually the system will become perfect and people will get adjusted to it. The idea of system in itself has to deal with the fact that we have to educate our people. It is part of the system that we can establish. How many people in Liberia right now can we tell that know about the different parties that are there? Right now, as you speak, you will only hear about 2 or 3 different parties, but there are a lot of other parties. So it's not the idea of perfect system. It's the idea of educating the people and putting in a system to sustain those parties and to sustain those requirements that we ensure or that we guarantee those parties are in existence, holding them accountable. Thank you.
Gaken?
Yes.
My question, with all the problems you enumerated, why do you still is still working?
Well, then, like I said, we just have to be clear and be factual to our people. Political party, unless they're giving access to the presidency or to overwhelmingly a vast majority of the legislative branch of government, they cannot do anything. Political parties are not designed to build a country. They're not designed to bring development unless they're in power. Now, they can pressure government like what the COP is doing. There's a collaboration of political parties. They can question government, they can push agenda, they can make demands, but the idea behind a multi-party system is to open the door and make Liberians who are qualified, who are visionary, who wants to lead per our constitution to be able to participate in the electoral process in Liberia. So we have to set that down. So on that foundation, I think being from the history of Liberia, being led by one party for over a century, now to having over 26, 27 political party and individual involved in our politics, I think that within itself is a great step from being ruled by one party for over a century. I think within that mindset, I think that is working. Now, the question here is, when we look at what do we mean by is it working? Like how like what do we like how do we foresee a political party to be working? So that's the question that we need to be asking ourselves. Should political party be building roads? No, unless you're head of the executive branch of government, or you have vast majority in the House and you can push bill and you can bring bacon back home to your prospective districts, then you can pose that question. But just a political party, like for example, one of the guys that's part of the COP, what's his name? Dr. What's this guy? The announcer. Yeah, Wapo. Wapo is right from Illinois, like his party did not even probably win 0.01% of the vote. Does that mean that he should not be given the right to participate as someone who's believed within himself that he's qualified? He meet the age requirement, he meet the residency requirement, like the citizenship requirement, and all of these other requirements. Does that mean he should not participate? So now my thing is the electoral process in Liberia, we need a reform. We need a set benchmark and we need to post them because like I said, me working as a polling place administrator, there's certain things that are required. Like the issue that happened during the 27, the just ended election with Tyler Urick, the issue of the FFR, the voter rolls. Like these are things that need to be controlled. These are things that need to be in place, you know, before somebody runs. I don't know, y'all can explain the process to me, yeah. Because all I hear all the time is, oh, my people petition me. You know, what does that mean in Liberia? Does that mean that like how many votes is required to be a representative in our district? If we don't have a clear voter roll, then who's signing those petitions? Who's signing them? Because a lot of time people get signed petition, then the election commission go out and register people to vote. So I don't understand the process. What's the requirement to be a representative in District 9? Should you gather 1,000 signatures, notarize, and those people that sign a signature have to be a registered voter at the time within that district? Is that the requirement? Like how many petitions is needed to be a president? You know, it's 2 million people. What's the percentage? So these are things that we need to focus on. Then we can talk to the citizen of people who are voting these people in. They need to determine what is working for them or not. So now we can look at the issue of like, let's look at the political party. What do they have in common? A lot of them have the same thing in common. Can they bring about development in a different way? That's it. It's just like you comparing the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the Green Party. All of them have this, they got very similar thing in common. One just want bigger government involvement in people's life, and the other don't want bigger government involvement in people's life. But they're moderate, they're progressive, they're conservative on both sides of the end. So now, okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, gentlemen, I have a question for you. You know, Daniel asked a question that I like, but I don't know, you guys didn't come to it, in my opinion. I'm not going to ask you that question, though. It's like you have a bucket that you're depending on to fill your drum with water, and it is leaking. And still, you think that is working. But that was your answer. But this is the one I have for you. I have heard others say that I think 2-party system will be better for Liberia because, yes, it will do more for Liberia compared to the multi-party system. Because of the multi-party system, we always have to go for a rerun or runoff. and it costs money, and we don't have money. And because of the too many parties, the competition is weak. I form my party. I am the protocol leader. I'm not going for debate. My name is on the ballot. What's about a two-party system that unite us a little more as a people and makes the political process competitive? With a two-party system, take away any of the things that you think the multi-party system will provide, for which you are now inclined to accept the multi-party, the two-party system, that would be better? To each of you, Carol, you go first.
Well, I think limiting political parties in Liberia will not be good for our democracy. I think we should give Liberians the chance to establish their political parties and participate in elections, selling the ideas to the Liberian people. When we start to limit our party, we will see a lot of manipulation that will take us back to the same days of the two-way party. So multi-party in itself is a very beautiful thing. The problem with our Liberian multi-party system is our electorates, right? They are not educated, like the brother said. Now, if we have a population that is very occurrent with the political situation in our country, very occurrent with how the political structure should be, what they should benefit from as citizens of their country, and, then we will not have problem with anybody. We can have 1,000 parties in Liberia, but at the end of the day, the electors will decide who will be the best party to rule that country. It's not about the party, it's about the people, how the people think. So take, for example, in Liberia, you have somebody who came from the diaspora, who felt they did a little bit of work here, went Liberia, and think that they can pull over 2 million people to vote for them. And only to find out that those people don't even know that person, and they get 0.000% of the vote. It tells you that people have started to see that Liberia is no more the country where people think the citizens are gullible. People want to know that you've been there, what you can contribute, you understand, to the society. What have you done in the society? Can you make a good president? And will you meet their needs and all that? And those are things that the people are thinking about. I was fortunate yesterday.
Thank you. Let's go to another. We have a whole night, so let's be brief on that question that Mr. C asked. So we go to Steve to answer Mr. C's question.
Steve,
Yes,
if you want me to rephrase it, let me rephrase it this way. America, I can argue, in practice, have two-party system. So why we can't do that, since we copy everything from them? Go ahead.
Well, I will push it up a little bit to say just the idea of having two parties brings us into the same ball game of multi or choices. Mm-hmm. I would say let's push it up to 3. And let me say why. Because you might have people who do not believe in both parties' agenda, do not believe in the philosophy, do not believe in what they're projecting as a message to the people. The view is not workable. Why don't we have an alternative of an independent party along with the 2 different parties that will be there to make them 3, so that if I, Steve, decides that maybe X party or Y party does not work with me, they do not suit me, why can't I fall back to the independent party where I don't have to be attached to them, to those different parties? I don't have to succumb or bow down to their ideology or whatever their platforms will be. I can look at something else. So I would say, again, I go back to my stand that, the multi-party issue is very important. It is critically important for our democracy. And I think it should be introduced to us and we should work with it. However, I would say let's do 3, because that will work. That will cut down some of the things that you just said earlier on about the, going into second rounds. All of these things will be cut down from these different parties as well, if we can restrict it or bring it up to 3. Thank you so much.
Gaikon, same question, but let me throw this in.
Okay.
I think the two-party system will help to also restrain people morally. For example, I'm in party X. Tina working for me. I leave, I go to a party, the next party, I must be there this time because I don't want to come back to the other party because people say, whoa, you left 2 years ago and you're coming back. So this person now want to, do everything right to stay in that party and stay disciplined as much as possible. What you say?
Well, first, just to clear up the air,
Mhm.
America does not practice a two-party system. It's a multi-party system. Earlier, I think in our introduction, I think there is the Republican Party, the Democrats, the Libertarian, the Green Party. There are several parties in the U.S. Now, the difference between the Liberia and U.S. is there are benefits to be a political party, correct? Once you win certain percentage of the vote, you qualify for certain federal funding. Because you bringing knowledge to the political spectrum in the U.S. And in Liberia, like I said, like we have been living here for so long. I got involved in the 2017 electoral process in Liberia. I went back home, and I was just trying to understand the concept or how, like, what is it like to be a political party? What is the requirement? How are voters? How are they contributing to political parties? When I was on the Dr. Mill Jones campaign, asking my chairman, Mr. Kamaya, like, you have all these people registering under your party. Like, are they contributing financially? Like what commitment do they have to this party? Nothing. They just register names. Now, to your point, I know a lot of my fellow Liberians would say, "Oh, let's have two party, let's have three party." We need multi-party system again. There in the U.S. we have multi-party system, so Liberia also have that. We just need to strengthen on how and who become a political party in Liberia. Once that is strengthening, then we can try to weave out some people who are not qualified, and that way there is going to be only two concentrated party, and there need to be benefits for becoming a political party in Liberia. Do a political party get funding? Let's say I go back and I was able to gather people, and I was able to win over 20% of the vote. Should I be funded by the Liberian government next election time? We should have those kind of conversations. Then other people, when they're not receiving those kind of funding, we will not hear about them. Their name may not go on the ballot as a party. It may go there as a name, as a writing candidate. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to enforce system like that in Liberia.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. It's debate night, Friday. Our topic is multi-party democracy working for Liberia. We have our guest, Mr. Gakan Moe, who's joining us from Chicago, Mr. Steve Bole, and also Mr. Wilton Ketter. So, gentlemen, I know you listen to one another. I think there are some things your colleague said that you don't agree with. So I will allow this time for you to ask questions to one another. So let me start with Mr. Ketter. If you have questions for either Steve or Gakan.
I heard I think it was either Gag or Steve were comparing the multi-party system of the United States of America and the one for Liberia. You don't think the American electorate are more educated when it comes to the political development in the country than that of Liberia?
Gakan.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, the question is to me. Well, yes, they are. And it's part of democracy. You have to educate your people. It's a responsibility of the democratic system that we practice in Liberia. It comes with education. That's one thing we're not doing. We have to educate our people. So saying that America is more educated, it is our responsibility in Liberia to ensure that candidates work for their vote. To be placed on the ballot should be a hard work. Just to earn your name on a ballot, being number 2, number 3, First of all, it's a huge popularity. People know you on the international level. People know you throughout the country just for your name being on the ballot. You know, if you're running for a general election or whatever election you're running for in Liberia, we have to make candidate work. So when they're working for the name to be placed on that ballot, they have to go out there, talk to citizens, get signatures, and after that, qualify them. And then after that, they still have to go out door to door, canvas with people. So this is how Americans educate people about why you should vote for me. You know, candidates themselves go out there to get petition. People ask questions, why do I need to support you? So I don't think Liberians, I don't think it's very easy in Liberia. So I think we need to toughen up on that. So that way, political parties or individuals who are interested in running for offices in Liberia can educate people on why it is important to vote for me as a candidate.
Thank you. And do you have a question, Moses, for any of your fellow panelists?
Well, my question will go to Gagon. He said something not too long ago. Considering Gagon said that there should be multi-party system and people should be allowed to express their interest and run, and there should be a process also that curtails or scrutinize people in the process. Now, my question is, don't you think that comes back to the same thing some of us have suggested earlier on, that when we have three parties, then we can be able to, in that time, they can do primaries amongst themselves within those three different parties and determine who's eligible. And then they can bring their candidates, especially for those who might say, well, I don't want to affiliate with this party. I don't want to affiliate with that party. I would just do the independent party wherein, I can see different ideas, a bunch of ideas can come in at once. That's my question to you.
Yes, Steve, like I said again, there's not three party in America. There's only three recognizable party. Let's understand that. During election, many party can form. However, the requirement before you be recognized as a party to get federal funding. Now, the issue of primary, let's look at the election that brought Donald Trump to power. How many Republicans we have across stage? There need to be a primary within our political system. And the primary, everybody should be allowed to vote. Should participate as a candidate in that primary that will be hosted by the National Election Commission of Liberia. Then after that, it'll be a general election. So that way we can cut out all these back and forth, going back for re-election and things like that. So once there's a primary, you eliminate all the candidates who are not fit, who the citizen or the voting population deem not popular enough or not favorable to go to the general election. So I think once that system is put in place, we wouldn't be having this kind of conversation, because one, you have toughening up the benchmark for you to be recognized as a political party. The primary will weed people out, and then we'll just be focusing on 2-3 different people who made the certain percentage for them to be able to go to the general election. That's how we start working towards this recognizing 2 or 3 party system in Liberia. Yes.
Can I throw this in? You just said, making reference to the most recent election from the Republican side, they had about, I think, 17 plus candidates, all right, or more.
Yes.
What you saw there is that it was open. There was huge participation of many candidates, even though there are 2 recognized parties in the United States. So people that are making the argument that 2 will do it, then whoever has ambition or interest to run in the political process, they can be in any party. They'll be allowed to participate. And then the issue of primary now would be a lot easier. But if I have my party, you have your party, I'm the political leader, what's the essence of primary? But if all those that have interest as within just 2 parties or 3, then the issue of primary become a little more imperative. What do you say to that?
Yeah, and arguably you are correct, but before that get to a point, you have to fall within certain political ideology. If I'm a seditious, I should be free to register and contest per the Constitution. No party should tell me that, oh, because I'm a seditious, we can only take one person to run to represent our party. That's I think that's an infringement on people's right to run the way the party system is set up in Liberia. So if we have that type of system in place, I think many CDC may want to run for president. And then if these people get recognized at the election commission of the primary, the primary before going to the general election, maybe other people will have the opportunity to contest, and then we can weed, like I said, we can weed people out.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and today is Debate Friday, and we are debating the topic, is multi-party democracy working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? Dennis?
I'm asking if Gakon had any question for his colleagues.
Oh, yes. I have a few questions, but I only asked one. So, what is the ideal for both parties? When we say it is not working to Steve Bully, what would you describe as a working multi-party system? Like not the numbers, but what would you describe as a working multi-party system? And then to my brother, Mr. Carter, you made reference to the CDC, and you claim that this the system is working based on the rural development in the Southeastern. Is that how you describe a working multi-party system?
Mr. Bully, you go first.
Thank you for the question, Gakon. I think that's an important question. I think my idea of a multi-party working democracy system would be wherein the electrics, the people of Liberia are not only aware of what they are doing, they know their rights and their responsibility. Again, there is a system put in place to ensure those that are running know what they are doing, know those political parties participate in the livelihood of our people, contributing to the lives and the benefit of the nation at large. And also, my idea for working multi-party democracy would be ensuring that we do not have the chaos, that we have people do not abstain from elections. Like we saw, in the second round, when it went to the second phase, right after the Christmas, they had a vote. People do not abstain. Also, we also see that, political leaders do not have monopoly or over the voters when it comes to making national decisions, because one of the concerns that have been brought to my attention is, I'll give an example, the ANC, when both the ANC and the Liberty Party, when peace be to his ashes, Councillor Charles Walker Bronskin abstained. He did not endorse anyone. Mr. Lesgana Cummins did not endorse anyone as well in the 2017 election. You see how that is. Now, had maybe the voters been educated to some extent that yes, it is okay for our people, for our leaders to not want to endorse these people, but for our sake, for the democracy's sake, for the republic's sake, for this nation's sake, for our children's sake, for the future's sake, we are going to vote our consciences. We're going to vote for who we think will be the best to lead this country. I think we would have had a different result in this past election. That's what I think, and I believe, or a working democracy, a multi-party democracy is.
Kada, what's your understanding? What's your yardstick?
Yeah, the question Moe posed to me was because I use CDC as a reference to explain why multi-party system is necessary. Since 1985, 1985 was the first time we had a multi-party election in Liberia, and since that time we have not had any election that brought another party in that have different ideas, opposed to that of the former ruling establishment. So what happened was when we had what multi-party election or system brought is people having different ideas about the country, the political establishment. They have different ideas on how they want the country to be run and all that thing. We saw under Doe administration, even though we talk about rampant corruption when it came to power, but corruption was on the increase. We still had government ministries in private homes, and government were paying rent. On this, and Doe tried to change it a little bit, but he was not 100% successful. We see this administration, yeah, coming to probably take government out of private homes and put them in their own facility. Like I said, we see roads being developed, different infrastructure built, different initiative coming, and it all because of multi-party ideas. You understand? And that's why we have different legislators in the house from different political parties, and the idea of that is for them to be able to come bring ideas together for the common good of Liberia, opposed to having just one party system. Everything will be, you know, in revolving around that identical party. There will be no opposing view. When they say, let's just build one hospital in Monrovia, that will be it. Everybody say yes. Instead of saying no, let's build one in Uganda, let's build one in Maryland. And that's the system that we've been forced to live with for over 102 years. And so this system is working.
I still don't see the connection between multi-party system and building roads.
Well, the reason I'm saying this, the connection is the idea that in the one party system in Liberia, let's say 95% of the entire country was excluded from the political decision of Liberia. 95% of the country. When we start to introduce multi-party democracy in Liberia, we start to see the hinterland making decisions. People can come from Grand Gila can have a legislator that will speak for the people of Grand Gila to carry on development in Grand Gila. We see people from Maryland, we see people from Bond County and all the different counties. We see leaders who have those in parts of the country and had to say we can carry development. We got to develop him or put our money behind him or him on development and all the other stuff. So just having one party system in Liberia did not work for us. Will not work for us. And I think multi-party system will work for us. It's just that we have to educate ourselves, educate our people to be smart in who we elect to be our leaders.
Dennis, can I chip in? I like the answer. I want to chip in.
Go ahead.
I think
my question.
a few ways to know that the multi-party democratic system is working for Liberia is when our people are voting on the basis of the issues, on ideas, on philosophy, on values, on morals. Then we can say, yes, it's working. But what we have right now is that people are voting based on their ethnic connection, based on friendship, based on man partisanship, based on religion, based on the section of the country they come from. And that's why it is. And it is true. So until we can get to the point where somebody can say, oh, I think their party, according to their policy, they believe in free education. They believe in free healthcare as it is here and in other places. For them, they believe that when you are a man, you should marry to one woman, for example. Whereas another party can say, look, we are African. I think you can have 2 or 3. There are a lot of people that will go in that party because of that belief system. So it must be belief system. It won't be on policy. It won't be on philosophy. It won't be based on values. Values, especially when it comes to the candidates, Dennis. Why am I voting for the person? What kind of moral value do I see in this person? Is this person an example to my child that I be proud to tell my child tomorrow that, yeah, I voted for that person? And for example, look at the way Trump is behaving. Some people are not proud of him because of that behavior. So I think when we look at these things and people are making political decisions based on these values, then I think we'll come to the point to understand that it's working. Until then, I don't see how it's working.
So,
Brother Sia,
Mr. Ketter, that brings me to the question that I want to ask now for all of you, because I don't want to say I agree with my co-host, but here is the thing: what is the purpose? Because to be able to determine whether something is working or not, you must first be able to find the purpose. What is the purpose of multi-party democracy? If you know the purpose, has that purpose been realized in our Liberian multi-party system? Mr. Bulle, you are nodding. Why are you agreeing with me? So tell me the purpose and see how that purpose has been achieved in Liberia. If you want to say it's not working or not.
So the purpose of multi-party democracy is it's not to infringe on other people's right. It's to create an avenue, give opportunities for constituencies, voters, the people of the republic, to be able to participate, have their say in the democracy. That is the purpose. You know, coming in with different ideas, like one of my brothers said on here earlier on, wherein people, whether you are from this tribe or you are from that tribe, we can all collaborate together. But here's the thing: I would say it has not been achieved, and the reason I keep saying this has not been achieved is because it is one thing for us to say something, but it is another thing for us to actually live, walk, and implement those things we've said. Let's take for common example. It has not been achieved in Liberia because you know what? First of all, the people are not knowledgeable. Most of the people don't even understand what multi-democracy is. They don't understand what democracy in itself is, because you've had people who have been trained for over a century, knowing in their mind that this is how it works. We see the reflection of that even as of today. The executive, the president has more power. That speaks of the ability of these things not working at all, and we can't shy away from it. But for it to work, then we have to come to the point wherein we will say, you know what happened, ladies and gentlemen? We got to get back to the drawing board. Let's educate our people. We need to educate our lawmakers. We need to educate the voters. We need to even educate those that want to apply for these different positions, to run for these different offices. Another example I want to give typical is look at the United States. A few days ago, Nancy Pelosi had to step in and say, you know what happened? Let's take a vote that Trump cannot go ahead and just, go at war with Iran, because Trump did not let us know when he did this stuff that he just did. And citizens are concerned. People are concerned. They're reaching out to us. So let's take a vote. And they took a vote. Guess what happened? Now, Donald Trump cannot just go ahead and just do anything he wants to do. You know why? Because the people are educated about their rights. They know how it should work. They know that they have the differences, regardless of you can be Republican or whatever it is. They know that they have the different parties, but they come to national issue and they work together on it because they are educated. Thank you so much.
And Gaka and both of you say it's working. Take, for instance, a political party should be guided by ideology. I don't know if any of you can tell me what differentiates ANC, for instance, from CDC based on ideology. What is the ideology of Party A, the CDC? What is the ideology, political ideology of the ANC, the political ideology of, I don't know what Prince Johnson party is now? What difference? So if these people have no political ideology, it's just depending on who's the political leader, what's the point? What are we achieving under this multi-party system if we can't even differentiate our political parties based on ideologies? Mr. Ketter.
Well, if you talk about ideology and you say there is no ideology, I think I defer you on that. I think if you look at the CDC establishment, right, you will find out that CDC has a clear-cut ideology. It's completely pro-poor center, pro-poor, and meaning they are for the poor. They want to lift the poor up from poverty to somewhere where they can be decent. You understand? This is the reason why, and the policy is spelled out. The CDC-led government.
No, I'm not talking about the government. The party from the
party.
Yes. What is the ideology?
And how ideology? The ideology is to reach out to those people who have been disenfranchised for so long, to get them out of that slumber, from the poverty life, to put them to a better, life in the country. I think that where CDC is. And
Unity Party, what's the ideology? Unity Party, ANC, and Gakon.
I to be honest with you, I do not know the ideology.
That's my point. Gakon, let me go to you.
ANC.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Ja. And then again, like people that are watching, I invite you all to the All Liberian Diaspora Conference in Maryland in March. We'll be having a discussion around this similar topic, and we will be disclosing all of the ideology of the 26 different parties in Liberia. Basically, all of them the same. My party that I joined, I supported Dr. Mill Jones at the time. Basically, it's to eradicate poverty. They call him the poverty doctor. He wanted to do basically try to decrease and try to promote growth and economic empowerment for Liberians across all spectrum. The same, if you ask what Mr. Cattle was trying to say, I think that was the same move that CDC is trying to do, but they quote unquote say they pro-poor, so which means if you got small money in Liberia, they're not for you, they're just for poor people, which is wrong. But all of them share the similar platform. They just have different ways to go about trying to do it. It's the same if you compare the Democrat, Republican, all of them, the only difference, one want big government and one. So all of them share the same thing. So even in some of our discussion, why not merge? If we share the same idea.
Mr. Moore, that is not true.
No, I can read all of them out to you, but we will be disclosing that more when you come to the All Liberian Diaspora Conference, all of their ideology. But just to answer your question, the purpose of a multi-party system basically is to deter leadership from a single party. That's the whole purpose of it. So basically, it includes people from elected to bring different ideas and not make one party just control everything. So if we say it's not working, I mean, one party is not controlling everything in Liberia. We have people from different political ideology, different parties that are representative in the House of Legislature, the House of Senate. Now it is them who are elected to, like the Yeke Koluba, even though why many Liberians may not like him, but you're supposed to put pressure on the executive branch of government, because George Weah is like a king. He's like a dictator in Liberia currently. So who questioned him? Who said, George Weah, your wife not supposed to have a budget? Who take him to court? Who said you're supposed to declare your asset? It is the political parties. It is the people who are in the elected branch of government. They're supposed to question the president. You're not supposed to have a jet. You're not supposed to spend $1 million a year on private planes. So they're supposed to question everything. So if they're not doing that, we cannot say the system of the multi-party system is not working in Liberia. So it behooves Liberians to elect inclined leaders like Yeke Koluba and others that will question and demand that the president do what it takes.
And Gakon, do you need 4, 5, 6 parties to just raise that question you're talking about? One party can do that.
Like I said, the election commission needs to set the benchmark where we can get rid of parties that do not meet that certain threshold. Then we will have this 1, 2, 3 party that you foresee Liberians going into. But so long there's no threshold, is the system is open, democracy is working in Liberia. But if the election commission come up with a system and say, oh, before you go to the general election, you have to meet certain amount of vote or certain population before you can get placed on the general election ballot.
All right, let's go to our lines and bring in our callers. 630 has been waiting for 30 minutes now. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yes. My name is Arthur Wiado, and I'm calling from the state of Maryland. Thank you, Mr. Ja.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment? 1 minute, sir.
I want to make a comment very quickly. My comment is that Liberia is operating on a multi-party system. The question here is it working? For some of us, we say no, it is not working because we fail to actually uphold the reason for which we institute a multi-party system in the country. And we don't want to go back to see as whether we can accept the views of others. And we have criminalized the intent, the very good intent of multi-party democracy. We have criminalized it and having warlords infusing money into our democratic process, making the system is not working. Where in the world, time for election, you will collect ballots from voters and you keep it until election day. There is no way you can do that. It was not the intent of the framework for such thing to happen. So I can recall when I was coming up, we were promoting multi-partyism for our big brothers, and we upheld it, and we were advocating for a broader multi-partyism where everyone would not allow money to influence our votes, influence our thought process, influence everything that we do, our daily activities. So we play by the rule. But by the time we realized, we saw big money infusing into our system, but especially bad money too, and thereby criminalizing the intent of the framework of multi-party democracy.
Thank,
Yes,
thank you, Mr.
no, it is not working at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doe. Oh, wow. That's the voice of Ato Wiado. Let's go to our next caller. And please, guests, please take notes. Let's take our next caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, my name is Octavius Gilman.
Mr. Gilman, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your man Gakan is here.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys for a minute, and let me say thanks to both of y'all that invited all the three young brothers. I mean, I am like y'all, you guys older brother, because my age right now is now on paper, so you guys are all my little brother. I wanted to acknowledge that. Now, I applaud these young guys who are on the platform tonight. I mean, it's good that we have this kind of discussion respectfully, because it's about our country.
Mr. Gilman, there's a
Yeah.
feedback. If you're listening to watching it on Facebook, lower that volume. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think he's pushing a leg cartoon and call in.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. I trying to put my leg to hear me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, let me not even waste time. One, it's good that we have the kind of conversation. It's good. But I want us to change the strategy in this 2020. We have talked a lot, but now I think it would be good when we sit on the same roof and to bring the best together and see how best we can deviate from a political party, political interest, and ethnic group, on how best we can put our country first. Our problem in Liberia is very simple. It's our mindset. If we cannot change our mindset, and we should start from us that are outside the country. If we cannot do that, we are wasting our time. And then we need to focus on how can we change the House and the Senate. I mean, these are things that should be our focus point, because every single problem in our country can be solved if you have people in the House and in the Senate that respect the rule of law and believe in the country and the people. Without that, you can blame.
Are you saying the multi-party democracy is not working or is working?
It's not working because you have a broken House.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you have a broken House, you have a broken Senate. The president called all the shots. He really don't matter whether you're opposition against him. All you have to do is to bribe you. So if you have people like Dagon Moore, you have people like Moses, and you have people like the young brother that down there. I really don't know his name. If you had the three young guys in the House, I mean, do you really think they will be able to take the brown envelope from as a president? Because they understand the law. I suffer too much. And no, I was on social media making the case for the country. And the people in the diaspora brought me here. They put me here. They elected me. They spent the money behind me. I'm not going to betray them. I'm not going to and turn my back from them. So that's why, and before I leave, I really don't want to take your time. I encourage every single Liberian. There is the time for us to leave the too much talking is good, but they gotta come under the same roof at the All Liberian Diaspora Conference March 14 in Maryland. Let's sit down. and put our ideas on paper and see how best we, Liberians, in the diaspora can come together and implement it. May God bless you.
Thank you. And guys, just take your pens again. Let me get the one more caller, and then we can get your feedback. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
This is Ali Kumara, aka Ali Samba. How you guys doing today?
Wonderful. Aliu, welcome to Focus on Liberia. As always, your question or comment?
Well, just to make a comment here, I like Gakon. I listen to Gakon a lot. I like the fact that he's trying to get involved into politics. It's clear he's very, very, very young in the process. Don't usually know what it entails to be African or Liberian politics. So I like his exposes, but he's completely out of track with the real issues. Liberia cannot handle multi-party democracy, and the reasons are simple. Economic is a heavy influence on the aspect of it. Illiteracy is a heavy influence on the aspect of it, and other variables. So people like to compare Liberia with the United States. We're talking about a country that is 240 years old, over 240 years old. Before they got to the point of even getting independent, they had already developed scientists. They had already developed independent mindset. They have already developed means and ways of working outside of government and not have anything to do with government. The United States of America does not have a multi-party system. Some things are written on the book. The reality is the United States of America have two-party system, and then you have an independent, another option for somebody to become an independent. And even if you become an independent, just a waste of your money in the United States because you're not going to win anyways, either a Democrat or a Republican that is going to win. If you want this conglomeration of rights, of political parties, as a means of people actually exhibiting their rights, I think that's a means of creating more confusion in a society that is already confused. If you think that you have to become a president, and it is your right to become a president because you've had a PhD or a master's, so that means you must become president, then let us form 2 or 3 genuinely recognized political parties. Go in there and prove that you really are a man or a woman. Go among the other gurus, the other PhDs, and all the other guys who have all of this political and academic experience. Go among them, canvass, lobby, and see if you can win a primary. If you can win a primary among 10, 15 people that are at your level financially and educationally, then you're proving your point to actually become the president of the Republic of Liberia. So let's forget about the multi-party system. The multi-party system, since it came, it has caused nothing but chaos. Let me just say before I actually leave Steve, Dennis, before we had the multi-party democracy, we had a one-party system. Yeah, was it fair? No, it wasn't fair. But we had minimum casualties in many respects. Let me tell you this. The single-party system in Liberia did not affect our setting as Liberians, did not affect our customary practices and our traditions as Liberians. In fact, people who were controlling the single-party system did not jeopardize anything as far as our culture goes. When we introduced multi-party system, everything began to break apart. The issue of tribalism went on the increase. The amount of people killed in Liberia, even before 1985, you can't count the number. So multi-party has been a curse on Liberia. Multi-party democracy has never worked anywhere. They don't have it in France. They don't have it in Germany. They don't have it in England. So if you want to imitate people so badly, why can't you do the good things that they do? Why do you take the things that they do and mess it up for yourself? We do not need multi-party democracy. And I'm asking people in the House of the Legislature to try and focus on these things. If we say multi-party democracy does well for the people, CDC has very few people in the House of the Senate and in the House of Representatives. The oppositions are there in high numbers. Why are they not doing anything in terms of passing legislations that will better the system? Why are they not introducing system? The lawmakers, that particular capital bill is the first branch of government. They have the most power. They have more power than the president. Why are they not doing it? There are multiple parties in the capital bill. That's all I got to say right now, Dennis.
Thank you. And you said some things that I want to refute, but let me leave it with my, let's start with Gacom. All three colors is not working.
Well, if I want to thank all three callers and thank you all for listening to our analysis on the issue. Uh, to me, I mean, I don't know how to respond to the last caller. Uh, I thank him for listening to me, and I'm glad that he's listening to me. Like Octavius rightfully stated that we all need to come together at this conference, the All Liberian Diaspora Conference, and bring ideas together and make recommendations to our government. We have to change and step away from too much back and forth talking. We learn, we come to a resolution and propose that to the government. But to answer the question, we cannot stay on this platform and say that the U.S. doesn't have a multi-party system. That I'm speaking from someone who has worked as a polling place administrator, an election judge, and have served on many campaigns and managed a lot of campaigns here in the U.S., right in Chicago. Now, whether it's working or not in Liberia, like I say, go back to who we electing. We don't have so many Yeke Koluba in Liberia currently that will question president, that would demand president. We need those kind of people in our House of Legislature that will question and demand answer for their constituent. We don't have those people. So can you blame it on the system, the multi-party system? I don't think that is fair. We just, like we said, the voters, we have to educate them. They have to know that the votes are worthy, and they have to know how to elect people who are going to represent their idea and people who are going to bring bacon back home for them. There's no way people like Darius Dillon coming to U.S. saying that as a senator in Maserado, can you believe this? He cannot go to JFK for medical service. That senator should not be reelected. Because how can you be a whole senator and you say you cannot go to the biggest hospital in your country for medical service? That means you're not bringing bacon back to your constituent. You have to do that. So to me, if we say it's not working, I don't know. We just have to put more people in the House of Representatives, the executive branch, and the Senate that are going to represent our interests. So I think, to me, I think it's working. I think the purpose of this was to make sure that one single party doesn't control the whole political spectrum within a given country. So I think for me, back in the 80s, those that fought for multi-party system took away the two-way party, and it brought about different visionary, different ideas. Now it is us, Liberians, who we vote for. That's what matters. We have to make sure that they represent our interests. We have to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do in the House of Representatives, the Senate, the President. We have to make sure that they do that. If they don't do that, we'll replace them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My only disappointment is you are from Moet district. You keep talking about bacon. If you are from Moet district, talk about fufu.
Yeah, fufu. Yeah, they got to bring fufu.
Yeah, bring home the fufu. Steve.
Yes.
The caller says it's not working. They can agree with you. How do you think they support your position?
Well, I think it comes back to the fact, you see, one of the problems we have as Liberians is we don't like to be realistic with ourselves to some extent. We have this big old dream that we want to happen because we've probably lived abroad, we've probably lived in other places, or we want to assimilate other people, which is good. It is good. But we have to get to reality. And the reality here is this thing is not working. Is it good for us? It is a good thing. It is very, very good. But the question is, since it is not working, how do we make this to work? Let me say this, Mr. Ja, and to the rest of our listeners here tonight. Until we change the mindset of our people, until we change our mindsets as Liberians, we can wish, we can want, we can desire everything we want. It will not happen. You see, reality is not done with prayers. This is what I said earlier on, that we must educate our people. It is critically important that we educate our people on these different things that we want to happen. Let them be educated, let them hold accountable and responsible. Let educate our lawmakers and other people. And you know, we can't avoid these things. This is a fact we are faced with as a nation. This is not a CDC issue. It's not an LP issue. It's not a Unity Party issue. It is a Liberia issue, and it is a Liberian issue. We have to individually and collectively educate our people, educate ourselves, and that is why I'm personally saying on here tonight. I will be at a conference. I will be at a conference in Maryland for the All Diaspora Conference, and I want to challenge you and your co-host to be there as well. I want to openly invite you guys. I want to challenge you guys to be there as well. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. CA, and you hear the challenge. And Mr. Keto, let me bring you in right after this caller. Caller, your name and where you coming from? Hello, caller. All right, Mr. Keto. The
Yeah.
caller are saying it's not working.
Yes. The three callers. I will start with. There's an echo. I don't know what's going on, Dennis.
It's coming from you.
No, not me. I think when you receive that call.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. All right. So the three callers, right? I will start with the last caller that said multi-party is not good for our country because of our poor education and poverty and all the whole nine. Yeah. It's Liberia right now, right? Is it more poverty free than back in the days of one-party system? I'm talking about bulk of the people are having a say in our political discourse, or are we still to the place where it's so say one, so say all? I think what people don't understand here about multi-party democracy is the result. The reason multi-party democracy was introduced in our society is for people to have their say in the political processes of Liberia. Back in the days, a lot of Liberians, 95% of the population did not have their say in who they wanted to elect as president, who they wanted to be the legislators or the representative. They did not have the say. Today, we are fortunate to have a multi-party system that Liberians can decide to go to the poll and vote their own leader. Had it not been for multi-party democracy, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf would not have been president of Liberia. President George Manning Weah, I'm not talking about Charles Taylor, because right after the war, President George Manning Weah would not have been president of Liberia. The fact is, multi-party democracy, allow us to exercise our political view by voting our choice into office. That's the important thing about a democracy. What they do when they are elected is a whole different thing. What they do when I elected is a whole different thing. That's the reason why I agree with my brother Bowling when he talked about education. We have to educate our electorates. Now, people are not educated to what these people they elect supposed to do for them. If I elect a Yeke Koluba that live in District 10 to be my representative, he must articulate in the house those things that we will bring to him when he come home. If we need roads in our community, we should tell Yeke Koluba, you see, we got deplorable road. We need road to be fixed. We need people not to throw trash on the street. We need government to put tanks on the street so we can put trash in it. And Yeke Koluba to take that to the house and debate it on the floor so there can be some kind of a transformation in my environment. That's the reason why we vote those people in. You understand? But in our society, our people are not educated, and we're trying to talk about the education of here when it comes to the multi-party system of here and that of Liberia. These people know their rights. These people know what the government should be doing for them. Our country, our people do not know. So it left with us and some of our educated people to educate the rest of the country as to what government should be doing for them. The people who they vote into office should be doing for them. Why they vote those people in the office? Not because those people carry one bag of rice to tell and say, vote for me. No. I vote for you because I want you to make a change in my environment. I want you to make a change in my life. That's the reason why I vote for you, to make decisions that will bring positive development in the country. And this is different from having the multi-party system. Multi-party system is good. We embrace it. But the idea of the people we put in there, are they going there to do what we put them there for? Or do we know why we put them there? That's the difference. So I don't see why the TV colors will say it is not good for our society. Can we still sit in a for 102 years? 102 years. How many schools were built in the hinterland? How many schools were built in the hinterland? How many roads do we see connecting the different counties, the 15 counties in Liberia? How many roads? Even in Montserrat County, that is the seat of the politics in Liberia, underdeveloped. We're underdeveloped. That is an understatement. We're underdeveloped. So we need multi-party system. We need multi-party democracy to be able to change the status quo.
Thank you.
The people we put there we are the ones who should bring those people to books by knowing our constitution.
So if I may come in, Mr. John.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going down historic lane. I know we constantly saying for 102 years we had one party system. Factually speaking, that is incorrect. You're going back to Liberia history from 1847 until 1880. Liberia, it's the oldest, multi-party system in Africa. We have to correct that from 1847 to 1880. Now, the two-way party and the Republican Party merged until the 1980. So multi-party system came about in the 1880s. So we have to get that correct. Now, another benefit for multi-party system in Liberia, if we look at E.J. Raw, he broke a rule, right? If you know the history of Liberia, right? The lawmaker, they held him responsible and impeached him. So when we're talking about the impeachment of Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump, and it happened in Liberia too, during those days. If you know the history of E.J. Raw, it was because of multi-party system, he was held accountable and he was impeached from office.
Gakon, if I may, how many parties impeached Donald Trump?
Well, it's not about how many party he was impeached. It was a one party. It was not a bar party scene. It was one party. It was basically the House of Legislature, the representative, the lower house, impeach him. So that's their responsibility. Impeachment is an indictment based on wrongdoing of the president, and he got indicted for his wrongdoing.
But the thing is, we are talking about multi-party system. It took one party to impeach Donald Trump. So
it didn't take one party. It took a Republican, a House of Representatives that impeached him because of his wrongdoing, and that's within their discretion to do that. If a candidate did one, it's not about the party. It was about the system is still there, the multi-party system. It wasn't one party that impeached him.
Mr. Sia, can I just come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So to my brother Sia, Moel, first of all, you got to understand, the two-way party came in existence in 1869. By 1878, they were all working. So from that time up to 1980, make them 102 years old in operation in Liberia. I'm not talking about from 1847 or from 1822, from 1869. So that's where these people came together. You see, you said the representative in the House. No, it was the Democrat. It was the Democrat that impeached Donald Trump. So just to because we're on international platform and we gotta be making this.
They are House of Representatives though.
So we're talking about the party. He asked a specific question. He asked a specific question to the party.
No, that is irrelevant because that was their job. The House of Representatives.
No, he asked a specific question to the party. He said, "How many party impeached Donald Trump?" Right, Mr. Sear?
That was my question.
And it was one party, that's the Democrat. Right. So this the thing here.
Okay. What I was saying was my answer to his question was a party does not carry out an impeachment. The House of Representatives does, and they did that job.
Right. But they just did in America.
Who provided a vote for Trump to be impeached? If I may rephrase my question.
I mean that I think I don't want to disrespect your question, but that is irrelevant to a multi-party system, because that doesn't mean we don't have a multi-party system in America.
All right, let's do it this way. I still have more callers on the line, but I want to read a few comments from Facebook, and then I can throw it back to Mr. CA. Aliu, no, let's Aliu just talk. Robin Draper say, if education is what is needed to strengthen the system, then how do we educate the population? We need recommendations from the guests. So guests, recommendation. Nazaria had that Momba say, any system is good, but it depends who are the people involved in the system. Aliu V. Samba say, we understand that multi-party democracy, what multi-party democracy is. The point that we are making is that multi-party democracy has not worked for Liberia. Johnny D.W. Brown said, multi-party is a system that is only applicable on paper, but not in actuality in Liberia. Robin Draper again, the system is in place, but citizens are not using it. If you don't use it, you lose it. It can work. So those are a few comments from Facebook. Mr. C, let me go back to you before we return to our callers.
All right, again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. Today is our program, Debate Friday, and we are discussing is multi-party system working for Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? Dennis, I think we have a caller here. Caller with phone number 8629, last number is 8629. Are you there?
Are you there? Yeah, hello. Hello.
Mr. C, put your phone on hold, please.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I want to say thank you to you guys for discussing the brilliant, having a brilliant conversation on something we all need to do in Liberia. But one thing I noticed about the Liberian politicians is gullibility. They are too greedy and too anxious for power. That's where the system is messing up in Liberia. You know, when one person wins, they can't just afford to see one person going ahead. They can't just afford that. That's one of the problems. Instead of them rebranding themselves and say, okay, since poor already win, okay, what do I do now to gain the population for the next election? The last time I was on my show, I told some of these guys, I said, look, if you start taking initiative of some of the processes that Judge Ray is not taking, we will watch you. We will watch you. You are encouraging your voters to what? To vote for you. You cannot just depend on the mouth, just talking, and not doing nothing about it. This is why we've been feeling from day one. Politicians always use the grammatical expressions. They speak the bold, but they are not getting to the people. You have to get to your people. And that's why I always tell them, this is the reason why judgment will always be over them, because we are looking for people who can get to us. Come to us and say, look, I understand your condition. I understand what you are going through. I understand the situation in Liberia. But this is how we can do it. This is how we can do it. So in the first second, this president have never sit down in his seat. All he does is to what? Go to people that you overlook. These are the people that we're voting tomorrow. Go and encourage them. Say, look, they don't have a role. We need agriculture. And we all can see this is the 21st century. It's not you going in the street to protest that will make us to understand that you the best candidate. We are in the 21st century. We know that Ghana depends on agriculture. We know that Africa depends on agriculture. We know that Guinea depends on agriculture. So what is our own agriculture? What is ours? What are we doing? Are we sitting down just talking all day and say, look, you know what? The president needs to go because he's not a competent. In 2 months' time, Liberian people is questioning their president to leave. Something is unfair. How would a 2-month-old baby who is not working, who is not capable to stand, and you question that person and say, look, why are you not working fast so I can born another baby? That's not making no sense. But Liberian people could do these things, and the world is watching, and they don't have no fear.
All right.
That's one of the problems. We need to stop these things. Yeah, this is Christian Gay. I'm calling from actually Arizona.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
So we
continue.
need to stop these things. Yeah, we need to stop these things and rebrand our mind because this is time for development. So any president who
Mr.
I would
Gay,
tell opposition, I don't hate you.
Mr.
Yeah.
Gay, I think you are going
Yes,
off
sir.
track with our topic. Is multi-party system working in Liberia? That is our topic. So please conclude on
Yes.
that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for reminding me on that. Multi-party is that's why I was trying to go on a little bit. That multi-party is not a problem. The problem is the people,
Okay.
the leaders. Is the problem. How are they participating in the politics of Liberia? How are they moving up forward? That's what the problem is. We could be a multi-party. If, like you said, it was not multi-party, then George will not become president because CDC was nowhere to be known. All of a sudden, CDC came in the pipeline. It's not a problem of the multi-party. It's a problem of the people.
Understood.
How the people perceive their own people. That's what the problem is. That's why we have a problem with. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for your participation.
Let's take another caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
It's Artemus Gay, Chicago, Illinois.
Mr. Gay, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Dr. Gay, your question or comment?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Wonderful discussion. In fact, let me dedicate this night based on your discussion to Dr. Tanu Johnson. He wrote a beautiful book. Maybe less than 5 Liberians have read it. May his soul rest in peace. A book about democracy in post-war Liberia. Very brilliant guy from Firestone. Yes, as a historian and an ethicist, let me just make this clear, and this is the fact. Liberia has the oldest democracy in Africa. Multi-party democracy, yes. The three-week party started in Liberia. We had several political parties, and our elections were all held. Incumbents were beaten in elections. Yes, it excluded a lot of the natives in our country. We will not deny that fact. But the system did work. And Mr. Moore made it very clear. I think we should keep this fact in our civic education. The election that took off, the young man was right. The three-way party was funded based on the same competition. Let me be clear here. Democracy is competitive. Anyone who tells you that democracy is just, oh, let's go, no, it's very competitive. Very, very competitive. That's why if you want to read anything about democracy, if you think democracy is clean, then just forget about it. It is dirty. Read the history of America. People would take your family picture. They would tell you how many girlfriends, how many outside children you had. That was what's happening. So let's keep that in your mind. The aim is to take you down. So that has to be understood within the democratic process. Having said that, let us go to Liberia. We had a lot of elections that were held until 1872 election. E.J. Raw, a lot of people don't even know the history well. E.J. Raw he disabused the system. He went beyond constitutional mandate, ratification. The law, it was very clear, and that law is still in our book. You do not take loan for a country without consulting the lawmakers. Why was Donald Trump impeached? He was impeached for the very reason. When the lawmakers make the decision, you have to follow. He tried to have a rubber stamp lawmaker. The guy refused. You fail to realize that they had come from the election, that they were beaten. The opposition or the former party was beaten. So they were now in the House. And they had the mandate to impeach him because of the law. Now let's go to 1980. That moves towards our current situation, Ellen time. Look at what happened to Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. Madam Sirleaf came in with this democratic mandate. She failed in the second term. Who was the largest opposition party? CDC, 12 years. The biggest noise was from the CDC party. And I was right, because it was a grassroots movement. But after 12 years, what are we seeing? We're seeing the very thing, the tenor of democracy. Education matters so much in democracy. Without education, democracy is not really democracy. It's a pseudo-democracy. Because I think most of you have said it. Their citizenry has to learn, they have to understand what it means to give your vote. For example, Article 8, Section C is very clear. That gave you and myself the right to vote in the outside of Liberia. It's not, I didn't put it there. When Amos Sawyer wrote that constitution, he took it for the United States government. It was in the United States Constitution to allow citizens who have traveled, or for soldiers, to vote. That same provision is in our constitution. Who are your most educated Liberians to this day? They are people in the diaspora. But guess what will happen in 2020? They're going to make the noise. Oh, yes, it's true. It's a law. Article 80, Section C is in the Constitution, but we do not have money. So this year, I'm glad my brother Arthur Doe was on. 2014, we had an all-Liberian diaspora conference. It was paid half for it was paid by the Liberian government. One of the discussions we pushed to Ellen Johnson because she co-sponsored the conference was you cannot let us not to vote because you have that provision in the Constitution. You see, it came up because educated people at that conference, Dr. Dubanyan or Dr. Wilhelmina Simmons, people who were read, they were at that conference, and we could show the constitutional provision that yes, the right to vote has always been there. We also uplifted the very thing. We told some of our friends, say, look, there is a provision that says that once you're a Liberian, you're always a Liberian. We do not need to go to beg lawmakers because the guys are making so much money. They want to keep that money. Most of them are uneducated, for the record. So they will do everything to stymie our ability to push them to that level. That citizenship has always been there.
Thank you, Dr.
So
Gay.
we have to push them to that level.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason, the True We Party, there's a lot of things to go to really say. That's why I'm quiet whether there was multi-party or not. And even the issue with E.J. Rome, there are other sides to the story and it's still debatable, but winners write history. And that's why what we have is there. But let me take my very last caller. Oh no, not the last. This is a manual caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yes, my name is Prince Sharif, and I'm calling you from Maryland this evening.
Oh, hold on, Prince. Guess, can you hear him?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Prince.
All right. Let me say hello to everybody that is on here and to our audience. As it relates to the topic, if multi-party democracy is working for Liberia, yes, it is definitely working for Liberia. And you also asked a question, what needs to be changed? I think what needs to be changed is the mindset of politicians, the mindset of electorates is what needs to be changed.
But Prince, you say it's working, so why you need to change it if it is working?
Exactly.
No, I mean the mindset of people, that's what need to change. It is definitely working. But what we have observed during the period, that the issue of multi-party, especially in Liberia, have been abused by the same old politicians who fought for it. And I want to give the credit to Gabriel Bacchus Matthew the late. May his soul rest in peace. These were people who fought very hard for the democracy or the multi-party, system that we are now enjoying. But unfortunately, we have seen that few group of politicians are misusing this opportunity. What do I mean misusing it? For example, when you look at the historicity of politics in the world, you will observe that the reason for which people practice politics is not to come at each other with guns and with a kind of in a kind of boisterous way or form. Is to provide an idea, an alternative, and be able to appeal to the electorate that your platform is the best and that you can produce better than the one who is there or the incumbent.
Okay.
It's basically using, your platform to be able to appeal to your people. But today, we have seen that in Liberia, it is misused, especially in Liberia.
Okay.
People
Let's
take
conclude.
advantage.
Conclude, Prince.
Yeah, people take advantage of multi-partyism in order to be able to create all kind of social club. They call it a political party, where you see some of them, they don't even have a complete office in Genuine. My own Kema, they don't have office there. Some of them, they are just located right in Monrovia. Some of them, when they get few people, they use them to be able to extort money from the system. Now election is about to come, 2023. You will see all kind of party united for Biduma progress, party united for reformation, all kind of party you will see around. And at the end of the day, immediately after the election, you will never even see them. So for me, I think it's an abuse of multi-partyism, but we are getting there. And I think it's getting stronger by the moment and by the day.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sia, by your permission, let me take our last caller.
Okay.
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yes, sir. This is Amos George calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Mr. George, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
I have a question and comment.
Sure.
The issue of multi-party system in Liberia has always been challenged. And that's one of the issues we have to look at critically. Because look at Como and Tubman, Tuan Wedding, D12, they was crushed while they were advocating for multi-party system on Tubman. Fast forward, 1980, the Kukin political party was allowed to form. What happened? They were crushed again by Dole. Today, nothing is trending. Ellen Johnson came to power. You have people who were advocating, said they were advocating that she was not doing the right thing. Today they are in power. The very same thing that they were speaking against, they're doing it. So in a sense, multi-party system is good for Liberia, but they have overcome the challenges. So what we need to do is to go back to the basics to try to educate our people, because that is what is lacking. The laws in Liberia are all good, but the bigger issue is the interpretation and the application of that law, the enforcement part. It is where the problem always. Look today, the mayor of Monrovia, it is an elected position. But Ellen Johnson came, she know her election. To their government, the same old thing. And who do you see talking? Nobody raised that issue. The mayor of Monrovia, it is an elected position. 1979, when we were cheering, Amos Sawyer and Chuchu Horton, Amos Sawyer was challenging that system, running for the mayor of Monrovia. Edward Dale was then trouble, I think so, whoever was mayor of Monrovia. And so that position, supposed to be elected position, it is in the Constitution. It is enshrined within the Constitution. But look at what happened today. Nobody can even raise that issue. So then there is an issue with the democracy or the multi-party system that we are yearning for. Because if we want to make sure that it is functioning, that everybody participates, then these positions should not be given to the person as a free will, just appoint anybody. Because then that is a violation of the Constitution.
Thank you, Mr.
So what we need to do, okay, let me just close on that note. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and we have been discussing for Debate Friday is multi-partyism working in Liberia? If not, what needs to be changed? We have been here for over an hour now, going to 2, and so we will go back to our guests this time around to get their concluding statement. And we will start with Gaikon. Mr. Moore, go ahead and give your concluding statement.
Before you come in, Mr. Moore, let me remind you that we have debated, we saw the pro and the con. This is the time, if the other guy says something that you like, just include in your conclusion so that we can merge all our ideas into one, kind of as a prelude to the All Liberian Conference that the Diaspora Conference that you spoke about.
Okay. Thank you. Again, thank you to all the listening audience. We hope to see you guys in Washington, D.C. I like the fact that a lot of young Liberians are now involved in issue as it relates to Liberia. We must come together and come up with solution. I'm watching the comments. I know a lot of people say we're talking, there's no solution. To form solution tonight, we have to put it on paper. We have to compare ideas and present a resolution that we can recommend and be able to implement in Liberia. But I commend all of my guests, Mr. Boley and Mr. Carter on this line. I believe we all are saying the same, but in different way. I think Mr. Boley is saying, yes, it's working, but then, it's a certain problem, so it's not working, but the party system is good. And Mr. Carter is also saying the same thing. And my thing is, it goes with what the last caller just concluded. What the NEC guideline call for election for mayoral offices in Liberia. We read the NEC guideline, it calls for that. The NEC is not implementing laws. They're not implementing their own guidelines in Liberia. When you speak to the issue of why it's not happening, people will reference Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the Supreme Court. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf pleaded to the Supreme Court that she did not have money, and the Supreme Court, suspended it. However, that is not a decision that says that you cannot have a mayor elected in Liberia. So this is a question that we have to put before the court, because the need to decentralize government in Liberia is something that needs to come with the electoral reform. This is one of the topics we're going to be talking about at the All Liberian Diaspora Conference and the out of country voting. So we command that all of you all, because Liberian, the National Election Commission calls for out of country voting, but yet they're not implementing that. Why is it that the Supreme Court just ruled in the issue of dual citizenship that there's no automatic laws of dual citizenship, so the new proposed bill is dead? So then why is it that Liberians out of Liberia are not voting? So these are things that we need to have discussion about. And this can only be done at a gathering where we're going to come up with solution and keep piling up the solution and make sure that it is implemented in our system in Liberia. So again, the multi-party system is not the issue. We need electoral reform. We need a system that we're going to implement, and we will enforce laws and order in Liberia as it relates to election. But thank you, Mr. Boley. Thank you, Mr. Carter. And to all the hosts, I thank you all for bringing this discussion together. I came on this platform tonight not to shout out my brothers. I think we all can have educated conversation, and we all may have different viewpoints on issues. At the end of the day, we all work in the interest of Liberia and Liberians. So again, thank you all for having me. And I hope to see you guys at the All Liberian Diaspora Conference. We need young people to step up and take on leadership in the diaspora and in Liberia. Not any young people, qualified young people, people who are transparent, people that does not have questionable characters. We need to make sure we can vet proper people to serve in high position in our government. We need to make sure that the records are made public, and we need to make sure that we are holding them accountable when they come to the U.S. and when we are in Liberia. So thank you all.
Thank you. And Mr. Ketter.
Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful platform. The program, the topic is very interesting, and it's a good discussion. I would also like to say thanks to my fellow panelists, Mr. Boley and Mr. Moe. To the host, I also like to say thank you for affording me the opportunity to appear on your show. What's important here is for us to not criticize the idea, but for us to fix what is broken in our ideas. The ideas of multi-party democracy is a very decent and beautiful thing for our society. We just need to tweak one or two things here and there. Like I said, we have to educate our people. We have to educate the people to the extent where they know that those people who they elect to be their representation are accountable to them. They have to have the education. And when we were in junior high school back in the days, we had civics. It taught us about the different branches of government, how government function. And now we should also introduce, to talk about, when you guys go to the All Liberian Conference, probably I will be there. I don't know. I hope I should be there to introduce our civics back into our curriculum, to introduce the Constitution, to teach the people about the Constitution, to introduce the people to a lot of things that they are not okra with when it comes to the whole political landscape. So, the system is good. Like the other caller said, the implementation is broken. The idea is all good, but we have to make sure that we educate our people to the extent where people will not just come and give us 2 or 3 bags of rice and we'll go and vote them into office and we call them boss men. No, they are our servants. We are the bosses. We tell them what to do. We put them there to do what we want them to do until we can get to that stage. And, we understand the importance of multi-party democracy. Today, I see people, even new parties going to Liberia. A friend of mine from Connecticut say he's going to be run in the 2023 election. And I'm like, okay. So, but I mean, the voters are there. Everybody has the right to do whatever you want to do when it comes to our political landscape. But when you get there, you will meet the people there who will scrutinize you, who will ask you, what have you done? What is your qualification? What can you bring to the table? And I think we owe that, not only trying to change the system, but also educate our people on those things that will make our country to be better. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you. And we will go to Mr. Bole for his parting comment.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying thanks to the Focus on Liberia family. I want to say thanks for the invite tonight. Thanks to our 2 hosts here, Mr. C and Mr. Jad. Thank you so much. I'd like to say thanks to Mr. Moet, one of our panelists, and Mr. Katter, one of our panelists as well. But most importantly, thanks to our viewers, thanks to the Liberian people, the most beautiful people on earth. I want to say thanks to those that are watching as well from Liberia, listening as well. I want to say thanks to all of you guys. It's a good thing for us to have this discussion. This is how the education starts. This is how the wellness starts. We create awareness, we educate our people, we inform them. This is part of empowerment. This is the process we are to be engaging in, where we can have civil discussions like these, where we can disagree respectfully, but yet we are still seeking the best and providing solutions and suggestions. In that, I like to say I agree with my brothers that multi-party system or process or democracy is important for Liberia, for our democracy, because we have to evolve as people. We have to evolve. We have to catch up with the rest of the world, and we have to do what is right so that people are not suppressed. They're not oppressed. We have to. That's the right thing to do. That being said, part of my recommendation would be for us to, first of all, ensure that we invest in our educational system. That starts with the primary education, and it goes up to, it goes up to the university and the different colleges we have. We have to invest in our children. We have to bring back the teachings of civic in school. Our children have to know the history as well. We have to focus on these things. It is okay that we'll focus on mathematics and science and other things, but we have to focus on civics and things. Let's educate our children. Let's invest in education. Let's promote education. Let's make education in Liberia a mandatory thing. Let's make it affordable as well. Let's make it, in the country we see, when your children don't go to school, what happens? They call you. They reach out to you to find out what's going on. Why is a kid missing from school? You have to get account. We have to introduce that system as well to encourage the government to do that. We have to also create awareness, go into the villages, teach our people that it's okay to vote, but you cannot just vote based on somebody giving you corporate rights. You have to vote because that's your own voice. That's the right you have. We have to do that. We have to educate our people. We have to provide an environment. We cannot provide a hostile environment for our people. You can't threaten people. You can't threaten people to stay away. You can't create a hostile environment for people to stay away from the electoral processes. Notwithstanding, we also have to educate our lawmakers. It is so sad. I want to reference something here. It is so sad I was seeing, and this is no way in a condescending way, but the newly voted in senator from Grand Cayman County, I saw a video of the man reading. It is discouraging. It speaks volume of our educational system. It speaks volume. And this is no disrespect, but these are facts that we have to point out to be able to hold ourselves accountable as a nation. Who in the world do you think will take us serious when we have our lawmakers, our representatives, our senators that cannot represent us representatively? They can't even read a fitting line. They can't understand what's going on. At the end of the day, they will revert to brown envelopes and things, and this will affect us as a people. It is critically important that we do this. The lawmakers need to be educated. They need to be reinforced. There has to be system put in place to hold them accountable as well, while they are holding the president and other leaders accountable. We have to do those things. Lastly, what I want to say is this to the Liberian people. The most important things we can do as Liberian people is to unite for the right thing. We must unite for the right thing. We must unite to do the right thing. We must unite to hold our leaders accountable. I don't care your political party. It doesn't matter. I don't care your political affiliation. It doesn't matter. Let's do the right thing for Liberia. That being said, I want to invite all of you again to the All Diaspora Liberian Conference that will be held in Maryland on the 14th of March. Please don't make any excuse. You want to know more about it, please contact me. My name on Facebook is Steve Bowley. Feel free to send me a message. I will give you the information. You can also reach out to Gago Moe. And like I said, I challenge the panelists here tonight to be on there. Mr. Carter, I'll hold you accountable. I will hold you responsible to be there, please, along with Mr. Jai and Mr. Sia tonight. You guys, if we don't see you guys, then you'll be in trouble. That means you're not contributing to Liberia. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me on.
All right. At this time, we want to say a very big thank you to our panelists for their closing comments or statement. My name is Anthony Sia. I have been co-hosting with Dennis Jazz today. Folks in cyberspace, we are coming to the close of our program, but tomorrow we will be having our business and economic forum where we talk economics and business. It can't be about politics. It can't be about government all the time. What makes a democracy what it ought to be is the economy. And that is why here at Focus on Liberia, we have a separate program at which we discuss business and economy. That will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Don't miss that. And then on Sunday, we'll be having prime time Sundays where we sit down, and those of you who love politics, we'll go into politics a little bit. And for Sunday, guess what we got? We'll be discussing the Rooting CDC, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is the one I like. Don't miss it. I will be there. And the two guys that are coming, they got some political punches to throw. And I will be in the middle. Dennis Jazz will be there also monitoring. Don't miss it. That will be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Do not miss it. Also on this network, every Tuesday is my show. Look at my background. The Hour of Politics comes on 7 p.m. Eastern on this network. Oh, social politics. But so folks, we want to thank you for staying with us for this length of time. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate those who call. Sorry, we couldn't read all the comments. We will always try our best to read all the comments. This is Focus on Liberia, and this is what we do. Dennis?
Till next time, my name is Dennis Jazz saying thank you, good night, and may God richly bless you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you,
And then we offer a little prayer.
And that's how we bring down the curtain from all of us here at Focus on Liberia. We say thanks so much for watching. Good night.